My name is Maria Saffonova. This is my colleague Rita Kuleva. We are both from Higher School of Economics, and we are representing research team. And this spring we started research project which is called Exploring Creative City, and both Anya and Sasha involved in this project. I will be reading. Sorry for this, but I hope it will be more clear when I'm reading from my laptop. What we really want to do is to do broad mapping of St. Petersburg newly established creative industries. Newly means after the year 2000. And we want to focus mainly on institutions and agents dealing with publicly exhibited art objects. First, we are interested in institutions which exhibit and produce visual and performing arts like museums, art centers, galleries, educational centers, co-workings, or the so-called loft project. And this label loft project seems to be a really popular word for new cultural production institutions at St. Petersburg now. And our focus is on institutions which are doing public projects and are oriented toward public space. Thus, we are interested in performing arts in the case they do produce new public space for some forms of alternative theater like Skorokhod Center or urban design centers, if they produce public training and oriented toward public space transformation like Make It. And we are not interested in institutions which are oriented toward production for private consumer practices. And these institutions are interesting for us since they serve as main mediators between producers, artists, and consumers, publics. And second, we want to see how producers, individual artists or artistic groups are embedded into this mediating social structure. We'd like to show which constraints and opportunities institutional structure provides to art producers. There are two focuses in our projects. The first one is network, and we are interested in multi-level analysis, and we are going to build networks of individual actors, artists, curators, critics, art centers, managers, etc., and institutions. And the second focus is policies and ideologies which are promoted through institutions and producers' activities. We are gathering several types of data, and first we do monitoring culturally oriented media to produce bipartite networks of media and institutions. And second, we do in-depth interview with those who involved into non-governmental cultural production, both producers, artists, and brokers, curators, managers, and others. And interviews are focused on their networks, careers, professional activities. Third, we are collecting ego network data from Facebook profiles to do mapping on the level of individuals and institutions both. And we are at the very beginning of our project now, and in my presentation today I will first show what features of creative networks we are looking for, and our research is inspired by the existing scholarly works on cultural production designed in social network analysis style and logic. And second, we will show you some network mappings we have so far, but it's really preliminary analysis. Mm-hmm. So first I will tell you about those works which were inspiring for us, and стрелочку вниз. Покажи.
Ну вот так просто, вот. Она не хочет, нет.
Надо левой кнопкой сначала.
Вот теперь.
Окей. Будешь листать? Probably one of the most famous work on social networks and cultural production so far is work by Duncan Watts and Steven Strogaard, and they write about structural properties of different types of network, including biological, but one of the networks they work with was networks of Hollywood artists, actors, and the network originally was constructed by the company who produced the so-called Oracle of Bacon, and its creator used IMDb database with 1.5 million actors. If two actors work in one film together, like Kevin Bacon and Tom Hanks in Apollo, they created a link between them. And they created this huge network with 1.5 million of people inside it, and they calculated formal measures of the network, and they showed that the network has properties of the so-called small world. Sasha, пожалуйста, листни.
Нажмите.
It's famous work by Watson Strogards, which is called Collective Dynamic of Small World Networks. And the picture is from earlier work by Stanley Milgram, and he was the first person who introduced the concept small world. And I just took these pictures from his work just to show simple idea what is a small world. And what does it mean, small world? It means that you can get from one end of the network to the opposite end quite fast. And distance between two persons is called geodesic distance. And what the Strogards, they showed that these distances inside Hollywood actors networks are really short. So information or rumors or diseases can spread through these networks really fast. What do you want to know about the network we are studying, about network of creative industries at St. Petersburg? We want to see what distances connect different types of producers and brokers, since short distances are crucial for information transmission, recruiting partners to your new project, etc. And the second property of this network is dense and tight neighborhoods. Neighborhoods of an ego in social network analysis is all alters of all people who have direct links to ego plus all links between alters and his ego. And this measure, mean density of ego neighborhood, is called clustering coefficient. And Strogards showed that in Hollywood network, this coefficient is high, which means that artists live in dense neighborhoods and alters of one ego tends to know each other. This characteristic high density of individual neighborhood has certain consequences for potential action of this individual, and we want to know what neighborhoods in our network in St. Petersburg are dense and what consequences this density have for their ideologies, their policies, their recruiting practices, and other practices. This is a certain important characteristics of what's in Strogards' work. They draw our attention to degree distribution of this artistic network. Degree is a characteristic of agent position inside network, and its number, it is just number of links an agent has, and this measure can be interpreted as prestige. If many people want to be your friend, you're a prestigious person, and this measure can be also interpreted as potential for influence. If you have many friends, you can disseminate your ideas or spread information with higher speed. And what Strogards shows that degree is distributed really unevenly through network. There is a small number of agents who have high degree and really big number of agents who has small degree. So distribution of degree is described by Pareto law. It's Pareto distribution. It's explained by Mathew effect, which can be formulated like rich get richer. And when we speak about network, we can say that if in a big network some new agent is added, he or she has great chances to establish link with some agent with a bigger degree, and agent with small degree have less chances to establish new links with this newly arrived agent. And what do we want? We want to see who are these hubs inside our network, and we want to see which characteristics do they possess, which education, which resources, do they have some bigger monetary resources like money, or do they have nice position inside educational system or inside museum system, etc. And another inspiring work is a work by Foster, Barghouti, and Jones, and they showed on Boston Rock Club's data that the features of broker networks, it's broker networks of club managers seeking for bands, depend on the public they oriented towards. Thus, a manager from the club oriented toward consumers of original musical products were embedded into highly connected networks. And you can see him here. Clubs, and they represent the nodes represent managers, this headhunting persons, and this network is really highly connected. And these clubs and managers who oriented toward more wide public, who want to hear some cover version of famous songs by famous rock artists. In their public is much more wider, and you can see that the network is almost completely disconnected because they need to sustain their relationship with band, but they do not need some specific information they can take from some knowledgeable actor inside this network. So what we want to see the difference between different parts of our network. Is there any difference in formal measure in the structure of, for example, network of artists and network of brokers or networks of critics? And we want to include into our mapping actors of different sort, both producers and those who are called brokers, curator, critics, and others. And why do we want to do it? Because usually your good position inside network is defined by your ability to connect people with different resources. We know it's from Karen Cook and Emerson exchange theory, but we do have real problem here, since the logic of social network analysis method require you to include into your analysis agents of one kind, and better if this entity, these agents have some natural boundary, and we do not want to, we really need boundary to do analysis, but we do not want to be bounded ourselves, because we want to see how different resources flow through the boundaries. And so we have really great puzzle to solve, and we will not finish today with conclusion, but with question to you. And we are at the very beginning, and we started with our interview, and we started to work with Facebook data. And Rita will show you some Facebook mapping, but I do short comment on techniques and layouts. We use NetWe's application for Facebook, and it's really nice tool, and it gives you two types of matrices. One is binary, just friends, and the second one is weighted, it's comments and likes, but it's a bit heavy, so we didn't start to download it, and today we will see only binary matrices, and it produces GIF format files, and the pictures you will see is from GIF, and on the pictures size of a node it will be probably back a little bit. Size of a node will be represented degree, and colors. It was colored with Lewin method for community detection. So we tried to detect communities, but not on the basis of attributes of some characteristic like private, non-private, artists or curators, but on structures, on the links they have with them. And this clustering method is based on modularity. Modularity is a measure which try to show you if your network looks like different communities which are characterized by dense relationship inside communities, but really sparse relationship outside communities. So you will see this mapping, but it's really preliminary result. We just did it for this seminar to show the method.
Especially for this seminar.
Show the method. So we will be, our network will be growing and growing. Probably we will have some problem with the size of it, but Rita will continue and tell you about the maps.
Okay, next slide, please. This one. So what have we do? We took 6 profiles of our colleagues and friends
involved in art life in St. Petersburg. One of them is art theorist and philosopher. Two others are social researchers from our research group who also act as art practitioners, sometimes sex. And next one is an art school student and part-time gallery worker. And the last two is an artist and internet bot, corporative public profile I'd made for social center where I work, and add many artists as friends. And so together these 6 profiles gave us something about 2,050 notes, like this. And then I spent from 10 to 11 hours to delete, to remove wrong connections. I mean non-artistic, but from other professional fields, just their friends and relatives, many sociologists, and so on. First, before I will tell you about these 6 segments, these 6 clusters: black, purple, blue, green, red. Yes, 6. Let's see on another map. Next slide, please. And once again, this beautiful picture. And once again. No, it's okay. This is another map made by art critics for Art Chronica magazine. So, for Berta is it's very famous and quite serious magazine for art professionals, published in Moscow, and you can see anything. Yes. So there are some art groups and art institutions. And for example, for instance, you can see the leftist area here with some collectives as что делать or what is to be done. Okay. We don't know anything about this art collective and didn't mention it earlier today. So there is some traditional art institutions as Muha for informal and Academy for Fine Arts and so on. So this is a very clear picture of art world of St. Petersburg, but something is missing, and the missing is relationships between the actors, between artists and foundations and institutions, there's museum, galleries, and so on. So we can see some actors as curators, critics, philosophers doing critical theory, art theorists, and so on. So we would like to bring this gap. And next slide, please. Let's move to our maybe a few slides back to the whole picture. Yes, yes. And some features of our art map. The first thing is fragility of borders. So it's really complicated to define artists and non-artists, and find the border of the art world, as Roberto said, as Sasha and Nikita said. And the second thing is multidisciplinarity, because there are many poets, many art theorists, managers, journalists, and so on, and translocality, because there are some people from Moscow scene, from Berlin scene, and so on. So let's see the clusters. So, okay. The first one is, I should tell that I'm a little bit confused because we have no anonymization, and you can see all the names. So, okay, it's great. It's great. Okay, so there is some Moscow scene on St. Petersburg scene. So there are curators and artists currently acting more in Moscow and having strong relationships with Moscow art scene and so on. So hypothetically, these artists tend to be on global scene and take part in global exhibitions and biennales. Because for Moscow artists and curators, it's much easier to come to document or manifest or some things. Okay, I will not tell you about personalities and save anonymization. The next one, please. This small and not central cluster is young representatives of traditional old universities, art universities of St. Petersburg. We have two Academy of Fine Arts and MUHA, and I forgot the formal name. Maybe someone can... Industrial Academy for Design.
For design. After Stiglitz, it's named MUHA.
Because of artist Muhina. And you can say that these young artists and curators, not curators, just artists, are not very central. So they need some hub to be central. And my idea is that some programs for contemporary artists, like ProArt, we have foundation called ProArt, and it's quite famous in St. Petersburg and Central, can help these artists to move to the center of the art world of СПб. Next one, please. Two next clusters are institutional, I mean lofts, galleries, Museum of Contemporary Arts, institutional mainstream. And this one, purple one, represents artists. So these artists usually, you can see their exhibitions in Museum of Contemporary Art here, and the galleries and so on. And the next one, next slide please, is the red one, is the cluster of brokers. So it's kind of close to them, to the artists, but they have some specific and more strong connection with each other than with the artists. And the last one, the green one, is very surprising because we had an idea. There are two clusters of our mainline research because there are some leftist artists and some multidisciplinary projects involving sociologists, urbanists, designers, and so on. So some of
I see famous names here.
yes, you can't. Don't do that. Yes, for example.
I saw Anisia here.
Anisia here, and some of us.
And Alexei also.
Yes, but also there are some philosophers and art theorists are also here. But it's only 6 profiles, and our plan is, I don't know, 40. So you can imagine the results. So, yes.
Cool. Okay, it's not conclusion, but it's concluding questions. I just sum up the questions we have. We want to see who are they, and what qualities they have, communities, and what attributes is constructive for communities, what institutions and events are important for community building, and we want to see bridges between communities and between which people do this bridge, who are resourceful brokers, and which attributes do they possess, and what bridges do they control. And probably our main problem, because we know how to do this, but we do not know how to do this. We really need to draw some boundary or to do some procedure, to work out some procedure when we want to sort people. Is the person really good for us? Do we need to delete it when we creating our map, or we do not need to delete him or her because she involved in some creative practices or managing practices, etc. So probably our problem with boundary is the greatest problem, because software is great. It can give you a lot of opportunities to construct a lot of networks and matters, but if you do not have this boundary, you will be the subject of great a lot of questions, because you always have to have this boundary to produce good result and to believe your result. That's questions.
Yes. So, if I understand you correct, you've got 6 ego networks and they're connected to each other, yes?
Yes.
So, but I have the reasonable question. If you want to identify the hubs, these 6 ego main profiles will be the hubs.
No,
because they have all connections to each other, no?
Jeffy and NetWiz can produce you ego network without ego.
Okay.
So, but we still have problems, just because we do not know how central they were. So if they were really central, so we can probably got a great network and a lot of people is included in it. But if people not really central, they probably really peripheral person, and we just included some periphery of art world or museum world into our network. We really need some procedure to sort people, to decide which one should be put on our list and which one shouldn't be.
And there was one question I have on the first or the second slide. You show us that you use binary networks. Binary. And in the map we see we have the connections are the friendship relation and the relation of comment or like relation.
Just binary. If somebody added somebody like a friend, it's a link between them, and this link is directed. It has direction, but this type of data, you really need a lot of time to download them, because
so you don't use it.
Okay. So far not. But you would like to use it.
What does it do to calculate the weight of time?
Number of comments and number of likes. So there are 2 persons, and they can. It's really good data, because we can see more strong and more. Not so strong ties. It's great. We can produce probably more meaningful picture, but it took time to produce it.
Okay, but I guess the discussion is over.
No. I think those were the questions for clarification.
because we just reduced it to those clarification questions by now. Are there any other clarification questions, short ones, to get to know some details that are connected with the content of the presented material, or probably just overheard something? You need some details?
The military guy had. I don't know who he is, but he has a question.
Yoshi.
This guy is on our map.
He's already on the map. We know.
Okay, and so I got a question about my place in this one. Not about this, but about how did you about the color, the colors that you. So you put this 6 different colors, and so you said there was a Moscow scene, there was a Muha scene, but there was at the same time there were some mediators in the artwork, and so I just find this really very different bases. So this is a really different basis for me.
But the basis for grouping is not attributes like.
So it was made by computer program.
It is made on the basis of their links. I mean,
but then
the machine
just nominated them or interpreted
machine
them
nominated them on the basis of their link. The machine tried, Jeffy tried to find, or Louvain method tried to find those parts of the graph which are more dense. Because we have ideal typical structure of communities. Communities is a part of a graph where we can observe dense network, and there are some empty space between communities, and Louvain clustering can do kind of deleting something. It can produce several communities on the basis of structure, not attributes but structure, because it was Rita interpretation as is belonging to some clusters like Moscow scene or left politics. So, but the basis is is a structural basis. But we still do have a problem with this, because if you want to really want to see structure, you really need to complete network data. You need some boundary, because you can do mistake, and you probably include some important cluster.
Clarification question? Yeah. Sure. Okay.
Why don't you use the other?
Why don't you? It's not a clarification. I also have such.
You test just Louvain method of community detection or other?
Not so far. Just because we will do test some structural clustering measures, but to do it we need good data, and good data data with good boundary or data with clear method of sorting. I mean, you can produce good data without boundary. You can just select some method. It's really easy to do it with scientists, for example, because scientists have some formal measurement of being or not being scientists, like your degree, you belonging to some institutions, and artists, they do not have some clear measure of being or not being artists. It's a great problem.